Morning. Well, it's morning for me. I don't know where you're at. We're getting ready to string our polyrope for our goat feeding grazing area that we move around. And I want to take a minute and talk a bit about the different options for enclosing animals of different sizes. You've seen our poultry net, so it's a pretty cool product, and we'll see more of that throughout all our videos. It just happens to be there. But this is probably what I grew up with, is right here. This is good old-fashioned baling wire or whatever kind of wire you could find. It works, it's great. It has advantages and disadvantages. They're kind of prone to rust and snapping, but they are pretty tough and relatively inexpensive. I want to just go over the proper way to connect them and the improper way to connect them. So I'll show you the wrong way, which I browbeaten my grandpa as many times as I can remember. I would take a loop, bend it over, take another loop, and tie them together. The problem with this method is you've only got this points of contact. Let me get right here. So you've only got these 2 points of contact right there. And that's the only place the electricity goes. It does tend to promote sparking and that sort of stuff. So that's the wrong way. Let me show you the right way. So if your fence is broken, you take your piece of wire, if this is whichever side, sometimes you have to add a piece, sometimes you have enough to stretch it. But you take your 2 pieces and begin twisting them like this, 3 or 4 times around this way. And then you follow that around the other side with the other piece 3 or 4 times around this way. And believe it or not, that's not going to come apart. And, hey, cameraman, here. Let's see if we can make a fool of ourselves. Don't knock my camera down. Go that way. When you're not in the shot, go that way a little more. So there it is. And that's cutting into the hand. With both of us pulling, that doesn't come apart. So that's the proper way to add wire or to mend a broken wire fencing. But that's basically traditional, old school, whatever you want to call it. I grew up with this stuff, and it works. It's great. It's kind of simple to repair, and there's usually 9 miles of it. Thanks, buddy. Usually 9 miles of it around, but the problem is now they've switched over to the rope on the hay bale, so this stuff is getting, you end up having to buy it. Really? Now you're just going to fly over. Thanks. So, let's move on to the next one. This is the next sort of stuff that I remember coming into contact as I was growing up. This is called polytape.
Is that literally or figuratively speaking coming into contact?
It could go either way. So, see a close up here.
Oh, good.
So this is actually a
even see the
plastic woven through with metal wire, which does a good job of connecting electricity. You can cut it, work with it with normal scissors and that sort of thing. So it works really well. It does tend to be a little trickier to work with when you're trying to link together. You either have to have the special linking material or kind of tie a knot and hope for the best, which does cause heat, which melts some of the tape. So there are those disadvantages. Not quite as easy to go together as that metal wire, but it's a lot more visible. Most of the time you're finding this stuff now is in the 1 inch, 3/4 inch range, so it's nice and wide, and it really is visible to the animals, and they stay off it a lot better. The wire, the animals don't see it. You'll see a lot of people that still use it will hang flags on it so that the horses and goats and everybody knows it's there, whereas this poly tape, especially a little wider, is really highly visible. We had a couple miles of this stuff for the horse property we were running, and it's lasted quite a long time. Pretty impressed with it. You can use the similar insulators for it, but if you look at these guys, this kind of insulator that has the little catch here does work better with these guys than the traditional wire insulators. So it's a really kind of a good solution to the problem of what to do with a little more visibility and a little more easy to use. So I like it, it's good, we still keep around and use it, but that's polytape. Alright, this is my personal favorite right now. It's polyrope. Moves like rope, ties like rope, does the whole thing. When you cut it, you can literally, like with the poly tape as well, you can fuse the ends so you avoid that fraying. It works really good. So let me get you a close up here. So the little dark spots are actually the wire woven through this rope. Really good. They claim you can go 50 feet between posts. Those probably aren't going to work out being T-posts because they just aren't strong enough. The T-posts tend to bow together when you do that. So I love this stuff. We use a lot of it. Over the years, you saw that one coil I had of the polytape. We've come up with different methods. I'll show you my storage methods. From a very inexpensive store, I think this was $7. It's a electrical cord reel, but works really good to store and keep your hot wire, hot fencing conveniently. And then this is another good option, really inexpensive as well. You can see it's been in the sun, it's been around the block a few times. The issue is, I don't like to cut my ropes if I don't have to for these guys. So you do end up having to wind a little bit of it as the rolls are like 1,000 feet. So, you know, you obviously cut off a little smaller than that, but when you get long ones, you end up having to do something with what's left, which brings me to why it's laid out on the ground over here. Yeah, I did. I spent off camera about 5-10 minutes on unsnarling that mess. But, you know, I really do prefer to have the longer goes instead of cutting it. So, I mean, there was only like, you know, 100 feet left on the coil, so I figured we'd just roll it, which we did. Didn't take too long. So, without further ado, we're going to move on to getting this fence hung up and get moving on it. So we're out and we're hanging fence through this kind of little wooded area. Always bring your clippers with you. This is getting in the way of the shot and it always smacks me in the face, so it's time to go. And can you tell that they like this? So I think I should throw, no, okay, I'll give it to you.
They're like piranhas in a fresh kill.
Well, what's cool is that actually has a lot of vitamin C form, so it helps them stay, you know, a good boost in the immune system. All right, if you can get a shot of this camera. This is one of our standard insulators that we use for the fencing. It's like $1.50 to $2 for the post. But I've taken and added on here is the insulation for piping, because we're going to tie this to this metal fence that has that extra barrier to keep the fence from shorting out inappropriately. So I'm going to put a loop on the end of this.
Speak up or face us, Steve.
So, put it through the back, hit the top clip. And for goats, I'm going to take and put it actually about here. Goats don't tend to be really highly motivated to bail out of places, so we're tight in the top. Now one thing you notice as we're putting this fence up is that there's going to be quite a few of these little keepers here that are going to break. They just have a shelf life on them that's not as long as you might want. So it's part of the game. That's what you get for paying $1.50 or something. But for the portability, the need to not have a hammer to drive them in the ground every time, and that sort of thing, that's really beneficial. You'll notice on all of these stays should be the inside. So if an animal does run into it, it puts the majority of the force towards this hard plastic, not trying to keep on this keeper. So we're probably going to change the shot here and get ready for some fast motion, because this part just is something takes time. Next thing up is the next important thing. It's getting your fence properly grounded. I think that's the number one biggest problem that happens with these electric fences. They're not properly grounded. You know, a lot of people like this tie into their existing, if they've got an existing fence, you got T-posts in the ground down the line, they're connected with metal connectors, and yeah, it all works out, it's okay. I will probably end up doing that in this line anyway, but I'm going to connect, I have 4 grounding rods that just got them at the hardware store, the big long ones, cut them in half, tack welded on some square channel to give me some place to hammer on a little wider, and also to hammer up when they come out. I hit them with the hammer down here to pull them out of the ground. It saves a lot of effort. So we're going to get this going. I'm going to start connecting all of my grounding rods together with some insulated wire. Don't be fooled, the insulated wire really doesn't stop you from getting fried, just is what I have hanging around. So, I take a hose clamp, like this one here, and if I have found them before I drive them in the ground, they go on first. If not, they go on second. Alright, so we've got our 4 grounding rods there, about 1.5 feet in the ground or more each. So it's a little dry and sandy, so actually that extra contact's going to be good. Not to mention now we're tied into the fence, which means we, very weakly, but we do take some of that grounding benefit of the whole fence line. And I'm actually going to hang up our solar unit, because that's what I'm using here. Word of the wise, always make sure your solar unit is turned off, or any unit in the off position, not the charging. Of course, showing up.
Just in time to critique everything.
Now this particular unit has a mount on the back for to go on a T-post. I just didn't have any T-posts conveniently located here, so cable ties or baling wire it is. So, next we match up all of our colors. The green goes to the ground. Remember I told you I'd have to undo this, so I don't want to hear it in the comments. Oh, you did it twice.
Good thing the comments are written word.
Yeah, but you know, they could maybe say they're using a squeaky voice.
Once again using the wraparound method so we have more than one point of contact.
I'm just checking these with the screwdriver, just to make sure we're looking tight. You get this. This goes on the bottom. Drop a washer in there. Then one of these ends goes through there with another washer on top. This feeds up into the post, and away you go. So we're going to have to do a little different here. We're going to take our wire, cut a nice section off. I'm also using, if you haven't noticed, the solid core wire. I prefer it in this application as opposed to braided. It's better locked into the grounding rods here for us. And let's see this piece goes. Yes, you should do.
That's its plastic bag in there.
Just go on the back of the truck. You're catching the chicken.
just like a 9-volt battery, you test this by applying it to your tongue, correct?
Come on over, cameraman. You hold it and I'll stick my tongue on it. Yeah?
As long as you're not touching me.
That's fine. You hold this. Remember earlier when I told you this insulated wire doesn't do jack for the hot wire fences? He'd get fried a lot sooner than I would. We're connecting into the chicken fence, so we have to go check that connection before we fire this thing off, and then we'll hot the trot. So let's go walk the fence line one more time and go from there. Alright, so this fence here is insulated off. We've got our connector tied off the fence here. So we're going to go check the rest of this. We're going to go for a little walk. Let's go. So if you'll notice what we've done here, we actually mowed along this here and along the other fence. So by taking the lawnmower, we get a nice path on either side to clear the debris and the high grasses and whatever else might ground out our fence accidentally. Alright, she looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and charge this and see what happens. I don't think the fence line has to be perfect, but if you start off as good as you can get it or reasonably good, you end up being a lot easier in the long run. So let's go turn this thing on and move a couple barrels out of here and let these goats come in and have some fresh forage. I'm going to take it to the far back section so we'll see it. I take the alpha and I'll walk her out to the far end and she'll figure it out. They love the really young and tender stuff. So I'll load down all the weaker where they're starting, and it'll help to thin out and make it where it needs to go. Goats are browsers, not grazers, so they'll stamp a little bit of everything and move on and around. So we'll eat it once they eat it down a little bit. So that's that. Thanks for watching. If you liked what you saw, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. Also, subscribe and click the bell so you can get notified when we upload. Until next time, be safe.